The Blackwood Forest was ancient. Its trees clawed at the sky, gnarled fingers reaching for something they could never grasp. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, painting the forest floor in perpetual twilight. The air hung heavy and still, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. At the forest's heart stood Blackwood Manor. Blackwood Manor was a mansion of shadows and secrets. Its once grand facade was now crumbling, overtaken by ivy and creeping vines. Windows like vacant eyes stared out blindly. The mansion seemed to breathe, a living entity nestled within the forest's embrace. It was a place forgotten by time, or perhaps a place time was afraid to remember. The silence of Blackwood Forest was unsettling. No birds sang, no animals scurried. Even the wind seemed to avoid this place, as if afraid to disturb whatever slumbered within its depths. The forest held its breath, a silent sentinel guarding a terrible secret. The mansion, too, was silent. Yet there was a sense of watchfulness about it, as if something lurked behind those boarded windows, observing, waiting. The very stones of the manor seemed to pulse with a dark energy, a silent warning to those who dared to approach. Villagers spoke of Blackwood Manor in hushed tones. Their voices dropped to whispers, their eyes darting around as if afraid of being overheard. The manor, they said, was cursed. People had gone missing over the years, vanishing without a trace. Hikers, adventurers, curious souls lured by the whispers of the forest. They ventured into Blackwood's depths and were never seen again. Some whispered of strange lights seen flickering in the manor's windows at night, like ghostly candles beckoning the unwary. Others spoke of disembodied voices carried on the wind, whispers that chilled the soul. The forest held its secrets close, but its fear seeped out, poisoning the minds of those who lived on its edge. The villagers knew the truth, even if they dared not speak it aloud. Blackwood Manor was not merely haunted, it was hungry. It fed on the lost and the curious, drawing them into its embrace, trapping them forever within its decaying walls. Reema had always been drawn to the unknown. A thirst for adventure, a hunger for stories untold, burned bright within her. She had heard the whispers about Blackwood Manor, the tales that sent shivers down the spines of the bravest souls. But fear was a foreign language to Reema. Curiosity was her only compass. One crisp autumn afternoon, she found herself standing at the edge of Blackwood Forest. The trees seemed to reach out to her, their branches like skeletal fingers beckoning her into the shadows. A shiver ran down her spine, but it was not entirely unpleasant. It was the shiver of anticipation, of standing on the precipice of something extraordinary. As she stepped into the forest, the light seemed to dim, as if the trees themselves were swallowing the sun. The air grew heavy, laden with the scent of damp earth and decay. Reema pressed on, drawn deeper into the forest's embrace. The whispers started subtly, soft at first, like the rustling of leaves. But as she ventured deeper, they grew louder, more insistent, swirling around her like the ghosts of forgotten voices. Finally, through a break in the trees, she saw it. Blackwood Manor. Even in the fading light, its presence was imposing, a monument to decay and despair. The mansion seemed to watch her, its empty windows like judging eyes. A sense of unease settled over Reema, a prickling at the back of her neck. But still, she was drawn forward, compelled to unravel the mysteries hidden within the manor's crumbling walls. A wrought iron gate, rusted and overgrown with thorns, stood between Reema and the mansion. As she pushed it open, the hinges groaned, a sound that echoed through the unnatural stillness of the forest. The path leading to the manor was choked with weeds and littered with the skeletal remains of long-dead trees. Reaching the front door, Reema raised a hand to knock. But before her knuckles could connect with the wood, the door swung inward with a low groan, as if inviting her in. The entry hall was shrouded in darkness, the air thick with the smell of dust and decay. Cobwebs, spun thick as shrouds, hung from every corner. As Reema stepped inside, she felt a presence behind her. Turning swiftly, she found herself face to face with an old woman. Her eyes, like chips of ice, seemed to pierce Reema's soul. Her skin was as pale as parchment, stretched thin over the bones of her face. "You should not be here, child," the old woman rasped, her voice a dry whisper. "This place is not for the living." Fear finally took root in Reema's heart, sending a chill down her spine. She tried to speak, but no words came out. The old woman's gaze held her captive, her eyes burning with an eerie intensity. "You are already trapped," the old woman hissed, a cruel smile spreading across her wrinkled lips. The floor seemed to tilt beneath Reema's feet. The walls around her pulsed, the mansion itself seeming to constrict, to tighten its grip on her. Panic welled up inside her, choking her. She was trapped, snared in a web spun of shadows and secrets with no hope of escape.